Good evening, and welcome back to Bloodstone, a 4Dads D&D campaign in 5th edition, set in the world of Forgotten Realms. I am your Dungeon Master, 8BitPonies. Here's the cast. Hey cast, minus, at least for the time being, Mr. Alanere. He will be joining us shortly. Welcome back. Hope this Tuesday finds you well. And we're going to dive right back into the action, or lack thereof, I suppose, in some cases. When last we left our intrepid group of adventurers, the party had spent another day somewhat apart from each other, getting some distance from their previous, their most recent adventure, and a little bit of distance from each other. Eldrick had gone home and had spent the night with his mother in their manor of Oakheart. Spent a good portion of the day discussing the matters of state, as he is now Baron of Morov, and in his absence, she has been assisting, at least to some degree, his steward with the day-to-day operations. Thoros'l, Makaria, Sprout, for the most part, did their own sort of chores throughout the city. Thoros'l did some shopping. Makaria and Sprout did some research on various topics. Alanere spent much of the day attempting to figure out what happened to Eldrick, number one, and then basically just wandering through the city. Happened across an interesting troop of folk, but that is neither here nor there, as we return to Oakheart temporarily. At the end of the day, this is the 16th of Marpanoth, the 9th month. I think it's the 9th month. Maybe the 10th month, my mistake. 10th month, Marpanoth is the 16th day. You guys returned to Heliogabalus on the 14th. And we're going to, as the day comes to a close, Eldrick is making his rounds through the manor itself. And I'm going to provide you with a visual, though you have to forgive me, the visual is not 100% complete, but it should serve for purposes of a quick tour. So, let's see here.
I'm only a little worried that you have a map for this.
I'm not worried at all. Expected, totally expected.
All right, so on screen now, I'm working through. Oh, that's a lot. It's a lot, Mr. Browser. Let's not do that. We're gonna.
Oh, that's right. There was a big open area in the middle of the.
That's
The
correct.
middle of the house. I remember we got attacked. We got attacked by ninjas there.
It's the Oakheart.
Long ago.
It's the heart of the oak. Yeah. So it is a 2-story building. That with a large exterior courtyard, through which grows an enormous oak tree. Eldrick, you would know that for the large majority, the bottom floor is for entertaining to some degree. There's a large here in the top center is the large dining hall, and there are a couple of drawing rooms and basically entertainment for guests on the right hand side. The southern area is mostly servants' quarters, and then the large gatehouse where the captain of the watch or the captain of your father's guard makes his residence. Over onto the left hand side, on the bottom is the stables and the carriage house, and then a storage room. Your mother's greenhouse is this one open air area. There's the kitchens and another set of servants' quarters, as well as a larder that are here, rounding out the bottom floor. And then if we switch over to the top floor, you have your father's personal chambers here in the top, your mother's personal chambers here at the bottom, your father's office here in the middle, a small sitting room for you, or drawing room for your mother. Your rooms are over here on the right hand side, and then a guest room, and then the family sort of sitting room, family leisure room here down at the bottom. And then the entire bottom wing of the house is your father's offices and Durbin Holy's residence. So as far as your question about which doors look, or which rooms look different from the last time that you were here, this was for the viewers, this was a question that the Baron asked via text after last night's but last week's session. He wanted to, after hours, he wanted to walk through the house and just get a lay of the land, make sure that nothing major had changed. Wanted to know where all the locked doors are. With the exception of servants' quarters. Servants' quarters generally are only accessible by the servants themselves. The only locked doors, the only doors that are barred to your entry beyond servants' personal quarters would be the door to your father's offices, where business is done, and of course that entire wing is effectively off limits. That's Holy's domain.
Right.
Your father's office, the only and your father and mother's personal quarters, generally speaking, are locked unless there's a reason for you to be there.
Sure.
If a guest is in residence, then these doors are locked, but there's no guests in Oakheart at the moment. But that's pretty much it. There is no cellar. Your father doesn't have a wine cellar.
That's unfortunate.
It's largely because of where the manor sits. It's kind of cut into a hill.
That's right. Yep.
And there's a lot of other things that are kind of like public works and things that go through the sewer area is a little bit tenuous in this zone in the city. And since you're kind of right there on the precipice of uplands, or the higher elevation and the lower elevation in the city, there is no built-in cellar. There was no cellar built into this this manor.
I got you. Which side of the manor is built into the wall? Is it the north on the map here?
It's actually the entire western side. Yeah, the entire western side. So this or the western side on this map. So let me go back to the Helio map, and you will see. So you're kind of built here. Let me bring that up again. I'm not pleased how my settings aren't remembered in Roll20 whenever I switch between maps. But
yep.
So you're here, kind of on the hill, or the elevation change kind of runs from southwest to northeast, and that kind of coincides with the section of your family manor that is. I missed the thing. Here we go. Back to Oakheart temporarily. It kind of runs through. Actually, I should probably flip the manor as a whole, because this is technically this end down here where the gate is actually should be pointing about 45 degrees clockwise. So it should be over here. So this section, the top section where your family's rooms are, and
Mhm.
where your room is
Mhm.
is built up. The area is lower than that. Like the areas beneath the second floor, the first floor
Mhm.
is primarily built into the into the hill, with the exception of the door leading out of um, the basically the back door. There's sort of
Mhm.
a kind of an excavated out section
Mhm.
of the hill that leads up and into the rest of your family's grounds.
Gotcha. Alrighty then. Mm.
So then that's effectively where you do your little tour, and at night there's still guards that keep watch over the exterior doors,
Mhm.
but there's not really a lot of movement that uh, can be found throughout the manor after everyone kind of retires. The servants are doing their own things and managing whatever they need to manage, um, but it's largely pretty quiet. Your mother is retired to her rooms to try to get some extra rest this evening following her ordeal last night,
Mhm.
and you wager that that's probably being repeated throughout for the most part. That uh, most of the occupants of the manor are doing similarly. Those that can, anyway.
Indeed. Are there stairs in that northwestern section to get up to the parents' rooms, or
Yeah,
do they have
actually,
to?
there are
Okay.
this section right here, right next to the back door, is a stairwell
Okay.
that goes up next to your father's room,
Okay.
and that's the only point of egress to that section of the house. As
Mhm.
the dining hall is vaulted, and so
Mhm.
um, there is no section uh, of the upper level of the house, no floor above that.
Mhm. So what is this crazy section right here?
It's just uh,
Okay.
part of the guest chambers that overlooks the exterior
Mhm.
courtyard. It's like not exactly a balcony, but it's kind of built around like this big chimney
Mhm.
that it's just maximizing the space and provides a view of the interior courtyard for your guest or your parents' guest.
Gotcha.
There are other stairwells uh,
Mhm.
here and here that are well, this would be the stairwell that is, accesses your room and the guest room, and
Mhm.
then this area is the stairwell, basically the servants' stair that allows for access to the family leisure rooms and the office, and then there's another stairwell um, in the business portion of the home.
Gotcha. Well, once I've completed my general circuit of the house, just checking the doors and all that jazz, and I'm obviously not going to try to go into the servants' quarters. If I see anybody, I'm going to say hi and ask them how the night is going. But after I'm done with that, I don't know that it's time to break into my father's offices. So I will try to find the route that I suspect the servants would take if they needed to provide anything for my mother for the night.
Okay.
Would that be through the courtyard, or would they go all the way around? Or I guess it'd be down here. Would
Well,
they go all the way around?
so there is a set of servants' quarters that is below your father's room, and
Hmm.
that's where the kitchens are. And
Gotcha.
so most of what servants would need to provide, they could provide either directly from this kitchen's area,
Hmm.
um, and then up this set of stairs, and then it has direct access to your mother and father's rooms.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, it would be a walk from the right section of the house. I'm not saying east and
Hmm.
west because it's not
Sure, sure.
technically correct,
I
but
gotcha.
be a walk through the dining hall and then up to that section of the house. But the only way up to your parents'
Hmm.
rooms at all is this stairwell.
Gotcha. Well, then Eldrick, after he's done his general circuit of the house just to check on things and see what's up, is going to snag a chair and a good book, and he's going to hang out here this evening.
Okay.
He wants to keep tabs on the comings and goings because he suspects if there's another nightmare incident that a lot of servants might be passing through there.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'm suspecting some Baneites to come by and be like, "Hi, what's up?" and I want to catch them in the act or something. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what I expect. I got glowing rocks and I got nightmares happening and somebody here isn't telling me something, and I actually think it's Mr. Holy, but I have yet to figure out how to approach him.
So for your kind of jaunt through the house, just for sake of argument, why don't you make me an investigation check?
I do like my investigation checks. They are good in almost every game that I play, and that this is the only character that actually has a good investigation roll. That would be a slash roll d20 plus 8.
Ooh. Smart fella.
Well, I'm trained in it. That gives me plus 5, so 14.
14 total.
Yep, 14 total.
Great, thank you. Okay, so a 14. You will notice, well, so almost every time that you have been away from the home for any real period of time and you come back, you will note that your mother's tastes have changed, specifically in the decor. It's not uncommon for every few months, or at the most every season or so. You don't know if she has a deal with some of the art dealers in town or around the areas, or if she has like a lending program with an art museum or something like that. But the art in the manor shifts almost constantly. It's as though she doesn't want to be seen with anything that's not currently in favor. She's trying to stay hip and chic and present the best possible foot, or I guess the best possible foot or face. They're all the same. To any visiting dignitaries or anyone that your father has had in for business or whatever. There are small pieces of art and paintings and things that are scattered throughout the entirety of the manor grounds. There is one piece in particular in the family lounge that catches your eye as you're kind of walking through. You come in, you maybe have a nostalgic moment as you're kind of looking through the various small pieces of sculpture and the paintings on the walls, and you're just about to leave the room. Something catches your eye. It's a very strange looking painting that appears to be done from it could have been as though the painter was positioned outside Oakheart itself, as it looks up onto the southwestern balconies of the palace, up on Palace Hill, and it's from a pretty good distance. There's a good portion of the cityscape that appears in this painting. But the color scheme is what catches your eye first. Number one, the city appears to be either very garishly lit or perhaps on fire. And the palace itself looks like dark in contrast, as it's like in the night sky, whereas every time that you remember having looked up at Palace Hill, the palace itself is very brightly lit always. Like it's a fixture. The outside edifice of the palace is this grand structure that is always very, very brightly lit. It's like the Empire State Building in New York. It's something that it is meant to draw the eye, and its opulence.
meant to be seen. I gotcha.
It's as though this picture is the exact opposite, and the depiction of the palace itself is almost a negative space. It is a dark, a dark building against a green sky and raining flames. There is one bright point that does draw your eye as you're looking at this painting. Is a single shining figure atop the palace on one of the balconies. What would be the balcony to the king's room, or the king's chambers within the palace itself. One shining figure, basically just a point of light that is vaguely man-shaped, that is atop the palace. It's the one bright spot in an otherwise darkened building. Green flame rains from a green tinted sky, and the city itself appears to be aflame, or at least very garishly lit. And
Okay then.
given the given what you heard from your mother last night, or I guess this morning, is what she talked about as her dream being last night, that resonates with you a great deal.
Does the painting look like fresh? Like maybe she painted it today
No,
or last night?
no.
Okay.
It looks like it's probably not. I mean, it would be difficult for you to age a painting given.
Sure, but if I touch the corner and it's still wet, right, that kind of gives up the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not. It
doesn't. Does it have a signature on it at all that I can see without like taking it out of the frame or something? Because I'm not going to do that.
It does have a symbol that is supposed to be the maker's mark. It's not specifically signed, but it does have a symbol that is a stylized A. We're going to go ahead and give the Baron some time to digest that particular piece of information. We're going to flip back over to Sprout. Sprout's back with us.
I need to unmute Cymryth.
Yep, that's true. Welcome, Cymryth / Alanere.
Hey.
We're going to switch over to Sprout for a moment and give Sprout the benefit of his day of research. So I wound up rolling for you on your roll for research the previous day, and you got a very, very good roll. So
it's because you did it.
the good thing. So your specific topic of research was what? Remind me.
Basically anything that had to do with this realm and how it correlates to the other realms, and anything in general about this realm that I may necessarily need to know that may or may not affect other realms.
Okay. So even with a very good roll on the dice for your research, what you will come up with is that this realm doesn't seem to have as good an understanding of its own place in the multiverse as perhaps your people did.
Okay.
When you're asking questions around, what information can you tell me, or what can you point me toward, with respect to this realm? A lot of people interpret that after they get over your appearance, which is different. A lot of people interpret that as meaning this kingdom.
Yeah.
Or for the very few learned individuals beyond that, the sort of like geography and a grasp of the regions of this planet as they are understood. And for the most part, probably 70 to 75% of the material that you were able to come across in your one day of research is around the Bloodstone lands and the regions that are just adjacent to the Bloodstone lands. You will notice, or you will find some information on other regions of this world geographically. Like you've got mentions of somewhere called the Dale Lands and the Moon Sea and the Sword Coast and the wilds of a place called Chult and a place called Maztica, which is a far-flung region that very few people have ever been to. But most of everything that you are able to come across is focused around one specific continent, a very large, very expansive continent on this planet called Faerun. Faerun is where most of known civilization on this world exists.
Okay.
You will also determine that in addition to the lands of Faerun, there's a very I just can't think of the word. Folk are sensitive to the fact that there is a world beneath this world that they refer to as the Underdark. That is an expansive, almost like a world below this world, like an almost completely different world, where other whispered about civilizations, largely supposed as evil civilizations, rest beneath the surface and carry out their own machinations and their lives. Most of what you have come across is very, very much has a bent toward whatever is below is scary and it is better left alone. You will also come across some information on various power structures within Faerun, given there are lots of very powerful factions of within civilization that kind of spread across civilization itself. So groups like there's a group called the Harpers that are this kind of semi-secret society that they style themselves as do-gooders that are more anti-civilization or more anti-structure and more just based on individual freedoms. You get another mention of a group called the Emerald Enclave, which are very like a naturalist society that exists, and it's not specifically in specific borders, right? These factions span through multiple kingdoms, multiple nations, multiple city-states, etc., multiple regions of the world. But the entirety of the known world is dotted with these different civilizations within civilizations that some are better known than others. Some of the information is just pure speculation, but there are lots of mentions of various groups within human and humanoid civilization that kind of span across multiple facets of settled space. You only ever find one reference to the world itself in any of these tomes that you are poring over, and you gather that it's from probably someone who is a student of the arcane and is a sage with a particular bent towards understanding more of the supernatural and the extraplanetary existence on this particular plane. There's a great deal of kind of misinformation that you've come across where people refer to this world, but they're talking specifically about Faerun. They're not really talking about there's few mentions of planar, the idea of planes in general, as in this civilization probably doesn't have a whole lot of knowledge of the planes.
Okay.
And there's only one mention of the planet, and the planet is actually there. There is a one sage that describes the planetary system as a twin planet, twin planets sort of revolving around each other, and the planet that you are currently on is named Thoros'l, Toril, and its twin is named Abir. So the planetary system is referred to in this one instance as Abir Thoros'l.
Can you spell Abir?
Abeir.
Would I have noted the sage's name?
Yes, you would have. His name is Rothaid Arwen. I'll just put it in the chat because it'll be easier.
In my studies and as I'm going around, would I have come across a map that I would be able to take with me for reference, or would that be something out of the realm of my capabilities or accessibility?
I would say that probably not a very detailed map, but at least a map of the kingdom. A very rough map of the kingdom you could probably purchase.
Okay.
But outside, like the entirety of the continent of Faerun, you don't know that exists. At least not in this region.
Okay, because I'm trying to find information about what this world is in regards to where it stands with the different planes. At the same time, I'm also just trying to get an overview or a general idea of where I am and what happened.
Yeah, given your
In the broader
understanding,
sense.
Of planet dynamics, just in general, you understand that this is a material world similar to yours. It exists on the prime material plane, or it coexists with other worlds in the prime material plane. But it is one of thousands, millions, billions of similar worlds, and whether or not the cosmology, there's still a lot of argument even among your people as to whether all planes are one plane, or all material planes are one plane, or if they're just like a collection of rings or a collection of spheres within spheres within spheres. It's
Okay.
The idea that different worlds exist as different planetary systems in a larger galaxy is a completely foreign concept to most.
The only source that I find that mentions it would be a sage by the name of Rothaid Arwen. Would that lead me to think or have conversations with any of my current party members that they might be able to either enlighten me with that or enlighten me with other sages to think? I'm trying to think if I would think that any of them might know it, because I'm not going to approach the subject with them unless I think. The only person I can think of might be Makaria, ? But I'm not positive.
Yeah, well, that's something you'll have to decide if you want to bring that. You know that your party members are planar travelers, to at least to some degree. They have talked about being, traveling to the astral and ethereal planes, at the very least. So it is possible that your knowledge or your interest would not entirely be lost on them. So, but that's entirely up to Sprout as to whether he wants to broach that topic with them.
I think I might tentatively, when opportunity arises, approach the subject with Makaria. FYI.
Okay. Good to know. Then that will wrap up Sprout's day. He'll come back to the inn probably pretty late, and maybe have a meal with the other four. Everybody has kind of been off doing their own thing all day, and by the end of the day, when everybody has come back, it's pretty late, and all there's really time for is a meal, and then returning back to their own beds. It is notable that Eldrick is not with the party, but Alanere is able to explain that he is currently staying at Oakheart, which is his parents' manor in the city, and Alanere has an appointment to have breakfast with Eldrick in the morning. And then, I think it's unbeknownst to anyone except for Eldrick at this point in time, but there is a potential for an invitation for the entirety of your party to dinner at Oakheart tomorrow evening. But that, you don't necessarily know that yet. That's been conversation between Eldrick and Madeline. So, is there anything specific that anybody else wants to cover prior to going to sleep on the night of the 16th?
Is this the same night that I went and did the stuff?
Yes.
Or is this okay?
This is the night.
I'm good.
Thoros'l already has a date at midnight. We've already gone past that, but it's more for anybody else at this point in time.
Nothing that is major other than Makaria will cast non-detection upon herself and ward her room so that if the door opens, it will be an alarm spell to wake her up.
Okay. Great. All right, then we will fly past the evening, or the late night. Thoros'l returns to the Bloodstone Arms, no worse for wear, after having had his little almost adventure, and then returns back and then goes to bed. The night passes largely uneventfully, even for you, Eldrick. Your dreams are not troubled this evening. Your sleep is not disturbed. Neither of you necessarily have any sort of dreams that you can remember. It could just be the exhaustion of the day, the fact that exhaustion probably is catching up to you after so many days just on nonstop, and now you've had a full day, your first really full true day outside of fearing for your life for 6 weeks straight, and everyone just collapses in their own way, in their own time, into a deep and mostly dreamless sleep. Morning comes. Everyone goes about their normal routines, I imagine. Whatever that routine is, whether it's Thoros'l sleeping in extra late and then stalking down to the bar, or Alanere going out to find a little bit of solace in nature prior to making his appointment at Oakheart. Is there anything specific that you guys want to do, any of you want to do in the early morning hours prior to Alanere going over to Oakheart?
Thoros'l,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Thoros'l will get up at a normal time this time. He's not sleeping at this time, so he'll be downstairs hopefully whenever Alanere heads out.
Okay.
Alanere will head out. But when he ends up going out, he's actually going to go ahead and basically wild shape into a bird. He's going to fly to the White Tree to do his basically morning devotion.
Well, the White Tree is a little far, so that's up in Bloodstone Valley. It's a few hundred miles to the northwest.
Oh, okay. I thought it was in this city.
No, it's not. It's actually in Bloodstone. What is now Bloodstone City used to be Bloodstone Village, but it has grown over the years. It's the current capital of
gotcha.
the Bloodstone Kingdom.
When I get my map, I'll show it to you.
You would know this.
Yeah.
Alanere would know this. That it was a little mistake by Cymryth is more on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, somewhere between the last time we were in this area, I just forgot that it was in the valley and not in
Right.
the city.
Been a few real years, yeah.
A lot to keep up with over the better part of a decade and a half.
Yeah, so he'll do the same thing as once he goes out, because you got to do it earlier, you know, basically with the sunrise. So yeah, he'll head out and once again find Thoros'l Grove or whatever. But if Thoros'l wants to catch him on his way out, more than free to do so.
To be available if you need to just say anything.
Although you probably will see me dressed up.
Did you tell us that you're going to see Eldrick this morning, or did?
Oh, absolutely, I will. Yeah, I'll be like, yeah, I'll have my devotions and I have breakfast with Eldrick first thing this morning.
Well, let him know that we're here, running up his tab.
Some of us more
Alanere
than others.
Smile. Say, oh, I'll be sure to do that. He kind of disappeared pretty quickly on us, without much of a word.
Yeah, and I was under the impression we were in a bit of a hurry to get things done.
As was I.
Just let him know.
Maybe that's a sentiment I will extend to him when I see him for breakfast.
Let him know that the innkeep has promised me something like a gold leaf muffins now. They sound expensive.
I'll be sure to tell him.
All right, so we can skip ahead to the point where Alanere, you go back out to the Dawn Gate district to do your devotions. You find the same kind of quiet park area that allows for you to be most in tune with the natural world, and do your devotions to Shantae at sunrise or shortly thereafter. And then you turn your attention back toward the rise and Oakheart. Whenever you arrive at the gates, you are expected, and you are ushered in, escorted up to the manor house itself, and around sort of the hill area into the manor grounds, as opposed to being taken to the manor house. You're taken around to the terraces where Eldrick is waiting for you.
As a point of order, and as well to show off a little bit, I'll actually fly my way to Oakheart as a bird.
Okay.
And basically like land in front of like the front gate guard, maybe like 6 feet away, and then transform back into my normal self.
Okay. Well, that definitely has an effect. Though probably not specifically the effect that you were looking for. They don't appear afraid of you. More surprised, really, that you arrive in that manner. But once they recognize it, probably startles them to some degree. But then they very quickly recover themselves and recognize you by your description. You are Master Nightsky, yes?
That is correct.
You are expected. Please, this way.
Would you like me to describe what my clothing looks like?
Please do.
All right. So he actually is sported. It's a very well form-fitted. It's like dark emerald tunic and trousers. The trimming on it is actually like a very intricate floral pattern. And even up on the tunic where the buttons are, there's like the trimming that goes down for the buttons is all that same intricate floral pattern. But he's actually also wearing an overcoat on it as well, which is the same kind of like, it's a slightly darker emerald green, with the same intricate floral patterns on like the cuffs, down the shoulders, around the neck area. And that is basically cinched at the waist. He has a same motif of dark emerald like leather belt with gold inlay, and to top it all off, his feet are actually wrapped in same like darker emerald green boots, leather boots that are laced up the front.
Nice.
How long's that been in your pack?
Since the previous day.
Oh, okay. Just picked. I was waiting for you to be like, since the last time we met the queen.
No. That's what I picked up from Mauricio for 25 gold.
Solid.
Nice. All right. So, Eldrick, when you are roused from your sleep by Master Holy, who lets you know that breakfast will be prepared and ready for you on the terraces when your guest arrives. You did set the time of shortly after sunset or shortly after sunrise, so you don't want to be late. Make sure that and he will personally attend to your attire and making sure that you are presentable.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, he seems to take no small amount of pleasure in kind of lording over you that he is your father is master of the house, but Durban Holy is the undisputed master of the home.
Mm-hmm. He's the guy in charge here, more or less.
He is in charge anytime that your father is away, and at least 55% of the time that he's here.
Baron and no Baron. This guy gets to make decisions. Nice.
You will note that your attire for the day is laid out in the white and green of your house Oaks, not specifically the white and silver of Morov. But he, after taking care of your attire, he escorts you out, and he's followed by a train of servants bringing out various breakfast dishes and your setting for the morning. You'll note that a table has been set. Yesterday, whenever you were with the High Pain Bearer, you were basically just kind of lounging in the grass on the terraces.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh yeah,
a table,
nice day for that.
Small table, has been set with a pair of chairs and a nice table setting has been laid out for you and for your guest. And just shortly after you arrive, Holy excuses himself, and Alanere is escorted up to the terraces. I will leave it to the two of you. The guards that escorted you, Alanere, up to the terraces, they bow once to Eldrick, and then turn and return to their posts, leaving the two of you alone.
Well, Eldrick will rise from the table and extend a hand to his friend. I see. I'm not the only one who got a little gussied up for breakfast.
Alanere will shake the hand, say, well, I had specific instructions to, let's say, look the part.
You did come to a noble's house. This is the way. And he'll gesture for him to sit.
And Alanere will sit. Say, well, yeah, well, I think I let the guard very much know that I can come and go as I please. In my own way.
If nothing else, I suspect they will note your style.
But we're back in the city, so I must at least play the part of the ambassador and follow proper social protocols.
Indeed. So, it's been an interesting day or so.
It has. You became quickly a difficult person to get in contact with. You just up and disappeared from the Bloodstone Arms.
Well, when Madeline Oaks says jump, you jump. And when she arrives with a carriage and 30 guards, you jump faster. You don't tell my mother no. Many a fool has been taken unawares, thinking that she's just a pretty face. My father
I
did
promise
did
you-
not pick idly.
I promise you that is not an assumption I make out of any of you Oaks.
Smart man. Before this meal, I would have checked to see if the stones are still glowing.
They are.
Okay. Eldrick will look to Alanere, take a bite of some bacon or some such. We might have a problem.
We might have a lot more than just one.
Well, I suspect that is the case. When I arrived here, the stones began to glow. As I entered at least when I noticed was as I entered the property. That seems problematic.
Well, I would tell you, and I'll kind of do like a glance around to see, like, are there servants or guards about, or do we have a bit of privacy?
As far as you can tell, go ahead and make me a perception check.
When I notice him start looking around, I'm going to use divine sense. My eyes will flash as I do that.
Okay.
And Alanere, only a 13 total.
Right.
Mine's a 60-foot radius.
Eldrick, you do not detect any of the things that you seek to detect.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Which is the first time, well, not the first time, but it's become rare recently that you use that particular power and reach out with your senses in that way, that you don't detect something.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are traveling with a half demon. Or devil, half devil.
And as far as you know, Alanere, you have privacy. There are no guards in sight currently, or servants.
Right. And as I've come to rely on my pretty good senses, I'll just assume that's the case, and say, I've actually been a little bit disturbed since we actually returned. And that is why, one of our companions, while I don't think that the White Tree would keep out tieflings in general, but the certain lineage of one of our companions, I think it probably would, but it hasn't. Which leads me to suspect that the tree is no longer doing what it's supposed to, or at least it has been diminished in some way.
If anything, that Draugg goddess, whose name escapes me at the moment,
Thoros'l?
Yeah, Thoros'l. If anything that she said is to be believed, that isn't terribly surprising. I have warned my church and my order about the potential of a cult underneath Bloodstone Village. I am unsure if they will be capable of doing anything about that. I have some suggestions about that, but I am curious if you were able to contact the Queen.
Well, we managed to speak briefly, although our meeting must be kept secret.
Mum is the word.
But let's just say, if the tree is diminished, that should be a cause of concern for all of us.
Certainly.
Because you know what that means if the tree is not doing what it's supposed to.
Yes. Yeah, potentially. I guess the question is Orcus still around? But yeah, I mean, if there's a demon cult underneath Bloodstone Village, or a city, I guess now, and the tree is not doing what it's supposed to do, that certainly spells badness for the Bloodstone Kingdoms. And I will
It
say,
does.
having before I was informed of my new destination of being here, I spent some time with the people of the city, and they are quite afraid and uneasy. And speaking with Eldrick pauses for a second, kind of looks at Alanere and thinks about whether or not he wants to mention this next part. And he says, speaking with my mother, who has an ear for the politics of the area, it sounds as if the nobles are uneasy as well.
I mean, there's random cults that are walking around the streets of Bloodstone.
Random cults, you say?
Well, I
Here
encountered
in
one
Helio?
such.
Do
Yeah,
tell.
sorry,
We're in Heliogopolis, is the city in the
yeah,
country of
Bloodstone as the
Damara,
kingdom. Yeah.
in the Bloodstone Kingdoms. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. Around here in Heliogopolis, I encountered what appeared to be very cultish to me, all wearing robes and of vastly different races. Some ones I have never seen before.
Hmm.
And they inquired to me if I know who the Grey Wanderer is. Have you ever heard that term before?
I suspect I'm about to try and make a religion check. Do I recognize the name, the Grey Wanderer?
Go ahead. Make a religion check or a history check, whatever you like.
Whatever you like, it won't matter.
Whatever.
Let's see, a
That's how
history
I
of an 8.
interpreted it.
I'll do a religious check with an 8, which gives me a 13 on 13 roll. Not rolling well tonight.
The term Grey Wanderer doesn't really strike you as anything religious. Yeah, I guess it's possible that that's it could be a name, could be a title, but it's not a title of any god or representative of a god that you are aware of. Not with a 13.
Gotcha.
I'll say, but it was weird because they were like walking in step, turning in step. It was a little unsettling. But when I told them I had no idea who the Grey Wanderer was, they just turned and walked and continued along their way. They seemed to have paid me no more mind. It was a little disconcerting. But with stuff like that happening across the city, no wonder people are uneasy.
Well, Helio is a city of many religions. There are many temples in the city of Heliogopolis. If you find time, it would not hurt my feelings if you would give the matter a little bit of looking into, if you can. But that could be a bit concerning. It does seem out of the ordinary to me, but there's something I've given a lot of thought in my time here, in the very nice, very relaxing lap of luxury day that I spent here, being waited on hand and foot by fantastical servants and one very surly butler. In the cool breezes of the nice grassy knolls of my parents' estate. What if Makaria wasn't who Kiaransley was referring to?
That is always a possibility.
Well, I have some thoughts on a number of candidates, but the leading one is, she mentioned a spy in our ranks, and she mentioned a she. I suspect you are actually the spy, which we know to be the case, or at least at one time. And he'll give you a friendly smile because, like, we all know that that's like an open secret in the group, right?
Yeah.
That would mean that she thinks the queen is my greatest enemy. I don't know how that could be the case, but I am certainly concerned about it. I had a very brief conversation with Thoros'l, where I don't believe I was able to go into much detail on this before we had to go. Certain exploding rooms, I believe. But I think he still thinks it's Makaria. What are your thoughts on the subject?
Well, here's my thoughts. And this is another thing that has bothered me. I sought out Makaria because for the knowledge of the ritual that she has. It's very, very rare, as I think we can agree. And I thought was one of a kind. But it is not, apparently. Thoros'l's daughter had knowledge of it. Who knows who else has knowledge of it?
Well, didn't Makaria come to us through some mysterious vision that you had that led you to... Where was it that you said you found her?
It was at the Great Library.
And that was your doing, not the queen's, right?
Right, that was mine. I was told that I would find answers at the Great Library, but I can't really remember who or what told me. It's just something that's stuck into my head. But for the life of me, I cannot remember where.
Sounds like God dreams to me. Eldrick grins.
But so when I first brought Makaria into our group, I pretty much vouched for her and said I had confidence in her. So far, that has actually not been shaken. I still have confidence in her. But on top of that, I think we need her. Because as much as I know Thoros'l and probably some others are very leery about the power she took with that ritual, what would have happened had she not would have been much, much worse.
I suspect we all would have been murdered by a drow goddess. Just spitballing that one.
And the way I see it, better the devil you know.
That is oddly appropriate.
So whether she gleans some sort of benefit from it, as long as she's using that knowledge to reduce harmful effects to the world and us, I can't say that she's acting nefariously. And in fact, I think we need her. Because other people might have the same knowledge of that ritual and be using it for other not so great purposes.
I agree that I think we need her. I don't know that we know. I don't know that we exactly know how, though.
But Thoros'l and I have come to an understanding that if she does ever get out of line, we will handle her.
It sounds like standard Thoros'l operating procedure.
Yes.
Not surprising. But in this case, probably welcome. I spoke with Makaria briefly before being whisked away. I'd actually meant to have lunch with her, but that did not occur. I think, like most of us, she's running from something, and I need to figure out what it is. Allies are always more trustworthy if they know you have their back. I think that I've certainly proven that to Thoros'l. To some extent, I'd say I've proven that to you. Makaria and Sprout, however, I don't know that I have earned my bones, so to speak.
Well, I will say this. There were a lot of times down in the Underdark when both Makaria and Sprout could have easily turned tail and fled instead of doing what we had to deal with. And for that, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Not many people would stare what we did in the face and not flee as fast as possible.
Wait, I'm sorry. Run that by me again.
The things that we faced in the Underdark.
Right.
Said at any time, I fully think that those two had the means to escape the Underdark at any time.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
The fact that they didn't and they stuck with and fought with what we faced, I will give them the benefit of the doubt that they have our backs.
I'd say that's fair.
Although Sprout, I have talked with him, he seems to be more than a little bit lost in this world, and it seems that maybe his world may have perished or become dark. So he's feeling a little lost right now.
Well, I suspect. I mean, even an elf can feel ostracized in Helio. I would not be surprised if people of such heritage were feeling a little lonely here. I had thought to invite everyone to dinner this evening. I need to check with the lady of the estate to make sure that she's feeling up to it. On a side note, not a side note, on a main note, previous topic, back to the glowing stones for a second. Last night, did you have a weird dream? Not last night, the night before. Did you have a weird dream?
I'm out of character. I'm pretty sure that you have said nothing about me having any weird dreams.
No. I mentioned the glowing globes. Eldrick said, back to the topic of the glowing globes. Two nights ago, did you have a weird dream?
Yeah. And as a side, pretty much out of character, 8-bit, I have, as much of my knowledge, I've not had any dreams the last even few nights.
That's correct. Nothing that you can remember.
Yeah. So, yeah, Alanere will kind of like rub his chin a little bit in thought and say, no, I've had no strange dreams these last few nights at all.
Huh. 2 nights, not last night, but the night before. The night before last, everyone that I spoke to in this house had disturbing dreams. I had a disturbing dream. I don't know what everyone else's dreams were. Mine was, I was a city-spanning person fighting a lion-faced city-spanning person as I guess armies clashed below us, but when ants fight, do you notice? And I thought about that dream for a good long while when I woke up. Does the city Tantris mean anything to you?
Does it? Does Alanere know anything about the city of Tantris?
You have certainly heard of Tantris. It's not far geographically from here. On the other side of the Galena's Mountains and down to the south a bit.
It's like right below Vasa, isn't it? next to the sea that we crossed to get to Sembia
I'm going to switch this over
or
to.
Saligant?
I'm going to switch this over to the kind of the world map as it is. So you guys can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you are here,
Mm-hmm.
and Tantris is over here. Might actually be.
Okay.
It's in this area. So this over here is Sembia. The Sea of Fallen Stars is up here. Impilter is in this area. This is an area called the Vast, I think. It's just a collection of independent city-states. The interior of independent city-states on the coasts. The interior is mostly orc-haunted mountains and hills. So, yeah, I mean, from a religious perspective, you can make me a religion check if you like, Alanere.
I would like. And
17.
Alanere rolls a 17.
You have heard stories, so you were alive during the time of Troubles, which is 13 years ago. You would have been a child.
Okay.
But you
Yeah.
were alive during that time. You've heard stories of the strange year where the world was turned upside down by the arrival of the gods themselves on Faerun, and how it is rumored that no one that you know can profess to have actually met a god while they walked in mortal bodies on the face of Faerun, but it is rumored to have happened, and there are dozens, if not hundreds, of stories of different things that happened during that very, very odd year. But Tantris is one of the stories, or one of the locations that the stories visit multiple times. Specifically, there is a large battle over the city of Tantris, or for the city of Tantris, between Bane, the god of tyranny and fear, and Torm, the god of duty and loyalty, in which both gods were destroyed.
Yeah. So Alanere say, I mean, I've heard of it. Mostly, anything I've heard is more or less rumors from the time of Troubles. Supposedly, when the gods walked the earth, a couple of them fought there, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I'm going to say it's true. I'm going to say I had a dream about it on what was supposed to have been the anniversary of it. And my dream was not from the perspective of Tyr. And I'm going to say this is made more disturbing by our conversation with the Gith that we met at Rune Kazai, who had a shrine to Bane and basically called me his lord. So I've been quite disturbed as of late based on these things.
That is disturbing.
It is. And I was hoping for some good news from your conversation with the Queen. How did your brief conversation, you said? On the down low, you said?
Well, I mean, mostly it was an exchange of what had happened. So more or less, I guess, curiosities about Makaria. But
I'd be curious about that.
But I mean, I really wouldn't say it's good or bad news either way. I mean, I believe I also informed her about the cult. But
Do you think she's likely to do anything about it?
she might, but I don't know how much of a position she's in to actually be able to do something about it.
She is the queen of this country. If she is not in a position to do something about it, I am hard pressed to think of anyone else who is other than the king himself. But I guess I'm asking the
Might not
wrong question.
actually be the king, though.
Well, these are the words we've been told. This is the thing. This is a thing that we surmise. But I guess I'm asking the wrong question. Alanere, you and I have been through a lot. I'm sure I've saved your life a couple times, and you've certainly saved mine and all of our lives quite spectacularly a number of times. And, you know, when I found out that you were a spy for the Queen, I asked a few questions, but not many. But I think now I need to know. I need to really know. Why did the Queen have you following me? That's no small ask for her, to take a trusted agent and insert them into what could be a years-long mission. In my duties as a Baron, I'm coming to understand, and as my time leading our group, I'm coming to more fully understand the resource that is people. Good people, trusted people are not common. They are hard to find, and they are hard to earn their trust. So anytime anybody dedicates such a resource to a long-term task, I have to know. I have to understand that that is a value proposition that they are undertaking. And I don't know much about the Queen, but I don't suspect that she's an idiot. So I doubt that she is wasting your time, or at least that she thinks she's wasting your time. So why does she have you with me?
Let me go back a ways. Or should I start with this? It's a difficult position for a druid to also be encompassed in politics of a nation. It draws you in two ways when your heart is in nature, but you also have a duty. As much as she's a queen of this nation, she is also a druid. And when she has questions about the political or uncertainties about the political, she will go to what she knows and trusts. And to take you all the way back, because you know I was a spy, you know I'm actually human, not an elf.
Absolutely.
So I keep this disguise still for a very particular reason that isn't of consequence right now. But I grew up in Cymryth/Bloodstone. My family was fleeing the war with Zengi. They didn't make it, and neither would I, had I not been rescued by the kindly druid. So I was more or less raised in the Queen's Grove. So that is why she trusts me. I've been a part of her druid life for quite some time. And she did not send me in specifically to spy on you. everyone in the group. No one was more or less above or below suspicion.
But
she had to know. She had concerns about the king, and she needed to know. And since your group was the one that rescued him, she had some concern.
That lines up.
No, certainly. Interesting.
And just so you are also aware, and that there's no misgivings, yes, I serve the Queen. And that's basically where I have been put into the political aspect. But first and foremost, I serve Shantae. And why my investigation of your group has more or less, I really don't suspect any of you of having anything to do with the king being abducted. But it has given me an opportunity to handle, should we say, imbalances in the natural cycle of things on a much grander scale than had I just tended in my grove.
Well, we do tend to get ourselves caught up in some larger than our station events. That's a fact. Do you trust the Queen?
I do.
And she's never asked you to compromise yourself?
No.
Fair enough, then. So then who do you think Kieransley was alluding to as our greatest enemy?
Well, I will tell you this. As she was a Draugg goddess of undead, that makes her one of my greatest enemies. Her use of the undead is one of the biggest affront to nature that you can possibly find. So I don't heed much word in the words of my greatest enemy. Perhaps it was a last-ditch effort to sow seeds of chaos and dissent. I don't know. But I would say I will take anything she says with a grain of salt. And also, I've come to understand that the deities see things a lot differently than we do. So the way
Yes,
she
they do.
sees it may not be exactly the way we perceive things.
No, I think that that's almost guaranteed to be true. That's almost guaranteed to be true. I think that you know that we have had a severe lack of understanding in who is actually opposing us. Certainly, we have the
Yes.
boogeyman of the scary, scary armored man, and was out of character for a half second. Alanere was there when scary, scary armor man pulled a Titus Oaks, right?
Yes.
In the Klingon cruiser.
In the citadel beneath Garen's stop, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The D5. Gotcha. Back in character. Certainly with the boogeyman of the scary, scary armored man who claims to be my father, Titus Oaks. But we also know that somebody who looked like me and spoke like me and pretended to be me took a stone from Impilter. So people changing their faces and pretending to be Oakses isn't exactly a seldom encountered idea. However, current location of my father is tenuous information at best at the moment, and seems to correspond with the location of one of what we believe to be the remaining stones. I was hoping that he would be here at Oakheart so that I could speak with him, but he is elusive as ever.
Which, one, if he is, and for now, I will assume that he is on more or less our side, which right now I have no idea how many different sides are after these stones.
Well, and I think that's the problem, right? The problem is that it's our side, it's Scary Armor's side, and then what? If he was a great villain with which we should defeat, I suspect he would have killed us in Vasa. He certainly could have. And there's almost no reason that he couldn't have killed us under Garen's stop. But instead he gave us a bag of information and let us port away as he fought whatever that giant blob was. And an angel, and an illithid, and just all kinds of bad. So I don't know what side Scary Armor Man is on. I would like to hope ours in some tangential way. But it leads us with what other sides are there. Which is not a question that I suspect we will be solving over toast and bacon. Chomp, 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 chomp.
No, but I have an idea on how to draw them all out into the light.
Oh, really? You share, good sir.
Well, we already know what they want. We get it first. They have to come to us. I think our next move should be to retrieve all the remaining stones as quickly as possible.
Well, certainly I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. However, I don't know that we know how many still remain in their location. It has been 6 weeks since the last we heard even scant information about the stones. If I were to be a betting man, I would say the southern and the northern stones are probably the only ones that have yet to be retrieved. I suspect somebody is gathering the northern one as we speak, and I haven't a clue how we would go about the southern, because I think, if memory serves, it was in the middle of a sea. I don't breathe water so well, my friend.
Well, actually, I believe that's something I can take care of.
And again, I am unsurprised by the wonders of Alanere Nightsky.
If we could, I mean, I could take care of us breathing underwater, but let's be honest, the ocean or the sea is a vast area to explore. We'd have to really narrow it down before I would feel comfortable going down in there, even with those at my disposal to help us operate underwater.
No, certainly. I think we have a number of interests. I think we need to discuss them as a group. I think it would behoove us for you to find out whether or not we intend to go along with it, what the Queen expects us to do next, or what she would ask of us to do next. While you trust her, I don't not trust her so much as I don't know if she has everyone's best interest at heart. Let me rephrase that. I don't know if she knows what's best. She's obviously in a sticky situation with her thoughts on Gareth. And I don't know. I can only surmise that her personal life is in a very odd state based on that. And people under such duress, I don't suspect, make incredibly fantastical decisions. So I'd like to know what she expects of us, at least as a piece of information for when we speak to go forward. But I think that the next thing to do is for us all to get together, preferably tonight over dinner.
Well, probably the sooner the better, because I believe Thoros'l is racking up quite the debt at the Bloodstone Inn under your name, or at the Bloodstone Arms. He was saying something about some gold leaf breakfast or something. Anyway, yeah, racking up quite a tab under your name.
I'm sure that's true. Next time you see Thoros'l, tell him I don't believe he's eating gold leaf muffins. I can't imagine he eats anything that brings him joy. I've seen him smile exactly twice in the time that I have known him.
6 months,
One,
by the way.
yeah, in the 6 months that I've known him. One of which was when he slapped a baron, or a noble, and one of which was when we saved his daughter from eternal damnation to a plane of thought. So, only the best in life.
I'd like to offer that eating gold leaf muffins on a baron's dime is almost exactly like punching one in the face. So
Fair enough.
Well,
Fair enough.
you just tear them apart.
yeah,
He doesn't even eat it. He just rips it apart on his plate and leaves it.
Another, please.
Pours a little bit of his beer on it and giggles. Oh my goodness.
On that note, we've left 3 members of our party silent for entirely too long. So,
Fact.
if there's anything additional that you two want to discuss, perhaps that can be done with the full party.
Yeah, I think
over dinner.
we've
fine.
done our full. Yeah.
Yes.
So they'll finish up with niceties and then we'll break for whatever. And I'll let him know that tell the others that I'm going to check with the lady of the house to see if dinner is on the table. And we'll go from there.
So, short answer is yes.
Excellent.
The party is expected for dinner this evening at Oakheart. It will be an informal affair, so there's no expectations beyond.
So you only have to dress to the 8s, not to the 9s.
Beyond best behavior, I suppose.
I have to go out and get some dressing to the 8's clothes.
Durban Holy will make sure that it is well understood that your friends are guests in your father's home. You may be a baron, but he's still lord of this domain. Holy, not your father.
Indeed.
That being said, is there anything that the rest of you, and the rest of you is all of you, is there anything that any of you want to try to accomplish today prior to dinner at Oakheart tonight?
Yes. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, where can a furball get some nice outfits?
That might be a question.
Mauricio Esteban's.
That might be a question for your companions. Yeah. Makaria or Thoros'l, anything in particular that you had planned for the day beyond just lounging?
Maybe.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
That's right.
No.
Angry Bantha's coming online.
All right. I will inquire, and this will just be in general, where large quantities of snow or ice can be found. This is just for knowledge.
Understood. You could check with Marcus downstairs, and he would, depending on how large the quantity you're looking for, that is something that could be provided, but there are matters to consider, such as where it's going to be stored, how much exactly, when do you need it, so on and so forth.
We're looking at something that could hold some think about creating a casket or box that could hold someone inside of it. It would only need to last for about an hour, maybe 3 at the most.
the blank look that you get whenever you're
Like
asking
preserving
for
a body.
a cask, you're preserving a body, effectively. You're looking to preserve a...
Oh,
Is
no, she, like, Makaria will take out a gold coin, put it down, be like, no, that's, no, that's silly. Preserving a body is worthless. Every person could tell you that. No, I'm looking to actually create a body.
out of...
Well, the best thing there is. Myself, of course.
It's not any better.
Marcus just... He kind of glances around the room a little bit, basically waiting for Ashton Kutcher to jump out of...
He's totally gonna help you make a demon baby.
I'm afraid, my lady, that I am... I am confused.
That's...
If it is simply ice that you are seeking, I can provide that to you. It can be provided to you in whatever quantities you require. I have learned in this exchange that I should perhaps not ask questions that I do not want the answers to. And so, given that you are a companion of Baron Oaks, here on his good graces,
And
I'm sure this won't bite me in the ass later.
I will simply... He palms the gold coin that you left on the bar. I will simply forget that... Simply forget this entire disturbing conversation. If you will simply direct me as to where and when and how much, then I will endeavor to provide as best I can. He looks very, very uncomfortable.
We all do.
Well, I'm going to have dinner with the Baron tonight, so after that discussion, I might have a better timetable. So thank you very much. And Makaria will just walk away.
Of course, hey, kind of to your back. Of course, my lady. He's... yeah.
he is gonna get so wasted tonight.
Anybody else? Anything else that you want to try to accomplish in the daytime hours?
Yes. Alanere is going to start trying to find out any information of, like, the Grey Wanderer. Whether I go, talk at any churches to the, religious people, libraries. I'm just basically trying to find out what any entity called the Grey Wanderer is.
Okay, so you could spend your day doing that. It'll be the same kind of makeup that you had for the other two that did their research. It would be considered a day of downtime research. And there are costs associated to that and a roll. So if you'd like to make that up, then by all means, we can just go ahead and do that.
This is something I'm actually probably going to end up spending at least a few days on.
Okay. So then we'll say that you spend today on it, at the very least. We can decide, if you're deciding at the end of that day that you're not going to use the roll, that you're going to roll it over to the next day, then we can cover that tomorrow. So this is the 17th. So that you're spending the entirety of post-breakfast day till dinner time doing research on the Grey Wanderer. That we can...
Correct.
We can decide if... we can decide tomorrow, tomorrow being the 18th, if you want to continue that research or roll it over to the next day. But as of right now, you're rolling it over to make the decision on the 18th.
Yes.
Thoros'l, anything in particular?
He's got nothing on his agenda, so he'll spend all day at the inn, but mostly in his room, just in quiet contemplation, waiting.
Not ripping up gold tinseled muffins.
No. I reserve that only for breakfast for show, but I'll be having like ribeye lunch and
Quail egg omelets.
It's all
There you go.
Wagyu for this guy.
Yep. With fresh caught shrimp. I don't care how they get them. They got to teleport somewhere to get them.
Make it happen.
Make
gotta happen.
it happen.
The Baron wishes it.
All right. What about Sprout?
Sprout, going back to the beginning of the day, after breakfast, would talk to the bartender and ask him where might be a good place to have someone to tailor something for myself for an outfit, as I don't think there's anything that I could find off of the shelf.
Very true. You will be provided with a number of fine tailors in the city. Even or odd?
I am odd. We shall go odd.
Odd it is. The roll is a 10. You don't recognize any of the names, and so it's essentially just picking a name out of a hat, effectively. But you wind up at a tailor this afternoon, and after a little bit of discussion about the kind of clothing that you want to procure, and a little bit of extra measurement given your size, you're looking for fine clothing, like the kind of similar to what Alanere had earlier today.
I don't want to be shown up too much.
Yeah. So it's going to cost somewhere in the vicinity. It's not Mauricio's fine, but it's going to be still pretty decent clothing.
Okay.
And it's going to cost you because of factors. It's probably going to cost you somewhere in the vicinity of 15 gold. Can you manage that?
Don't know. We never discussed how much gold I actually have.
Well, you don't, unless you have come across gold or you've borrowed gold from someone. You don't have any.
Well, there was those chests and etc. gold in the cave where
That's true.
shortly after I originally left. So I don't know how much of that I would have grabbed, but I would have gotten some.
You spent the night with us in the chamber above the Beholder's cave, did you not?
I did.
Yeah, there was an ungodly amount of coinage there.
That's true.
I
How
think
much
you're
of
missing
that?
an opportunity to put it on the Baron's dime.
I assume that the Baron's dime is exclusive to the inn. I don't realize it carries further out.
So given the adventures that you've had and the exposure that you had to some amount of wealth, we will say I'll come up with a number for as far as gold pieces that you still have on hand.
Okay.
But yeah, the clothing is something that's fairly easy to cover.
Okay. Then I would like to cover that, and then at some point, if you let me know what I currently have, I will keep track of that from now on.
Got it.
Now, bear in mind that as a furbolg, I can carry a significantly larger load than most.
Right.
Just an FYI.
Understood. As you are making your way back, we'll say it's probably mid-afternoon, probably not far past third bell. So you'll recognize that on the hours they ring the bells in a series of bell towers at one part of the city, that you haven't yet been to, but you can hear throughout the city, regardless of where you are. You can hear the bells ringing.
Okay.
And the number of times is the number of hours past a certain. I'm explaining
Arbitrary number.
I'm explaining how these people, this civilization measures time to somebody who is not from this world. So
we don't measure time.
Yeah, you understand that it's some significance, and the number continues to increase until about the middle of the night, and then it starts over and it begins to increase again. So
the weirdest song ever.
But so
you should come to church with Eldrick if you want to hear the weirdest song ever.
So somewhere around 3 in the afternoon, 3 bells in the afternoon, you will be traveling back from the clothier that you found in the Coinholm district, and you're making your way back through the marketplace, and you encounter something very strange.
Everything is strange to me.
Well, more strange than literally anything that you've ever seen since arriving in Heliogopolis.
All right, talk to me.
A sextet of white-robed figures making their way through the marketplace in lockstep. Long flowing robes, long flowing white headdresses, and they only stick out to you at all because the crowd kind of parts for them, and they just for the moment, you know, as you see these people for the first time, it's just, oh, that's very odd. It's a strange procession, you know, maybe some kind of religious procession. But then people stop and stare, and then after they have passed a little bit, you know, the people close in behind them and go back to doing what they're doing. But there's no sound. Like, they're not ringing bells or chanting or singing or playing instruments or beating drums or anything like that. They're just very slowly, very carefully, meticulously walking through the various laneways of the marketplace as you move through. And you stop and watch them for a moment, and you start to recognize the exact same thing that I explained to Cymryth 2 sessions ago. They are walking. You think first that they're walking together, but you stop for a moment and realize that they're actually stepping they're in complete lockstep. Every motion that any of the 6 of them makes is exactly the same as the others, and they hold themselves up and rigid. They're very, very still, other than their movements through the marketplace. And as you get a little bit closer to them, or as they get a little bit closer to you, as you stay and watch, you realize that they're all different species of creature. 2 humanoid types, smaller than you, but in the same build, same vague build as either a Thoros'l or an Eldrick. There's a shorter, like a dwarven person. There's an even shorter person who's maybe only about 2, maybe 3 feet tall. And then there's a large hulking figure that is close to your size. And then there's a very thin, reedy individual that you eventually realize is an insect. A bipedal insect. But all of them are dressed exactly the same. They have these these very bright white flowing vestments that seem to kind of blow on a breeze that you can't feel. And they are walking in complete lockstep. And as you're standing there watching, they actually turn and begin moving in your direction.
Well, this is awkward. I think the most unusual thing about this is everybody staring at them and not me. I will stand my ground, and I will, in a non-threatening way, and I will wait for them to approach me and see what they do.
They do approach you. They walk directly up to you, where the lead rank is this tall, probably 9.5, 10-foot tall, hulking, hairy creature. And the one beside him is the insectoid creature. And they walk up to where they're probably 10 feet away from you, at the front rank, and they stop. You recognize that all of the humanoids, the non-insectoids, all 5 of the humanoids, their eyes are completely pupilless and white and appear to be blind. They don't look at you as much as they look through you or past you, but they stop, and as one, the 6 of them, after a beat, they pull up next to you and stop. They say, "At last, the Grey Wanderer.
Oh shit!
You are expected."
I wondered.
I'll call it.
And that is where we will go ahead and call tonight's session. It's just a little bit early, but I don't think I'm going to be able to follow that.
Oh my goodness, that's so good.
Is it just you are expected?
You are expected.
Huh.
And
Nice.
so thank you to everybody who tuned in this evening. One more session of very weighty matters, understandable. There is bound to be something a little bit more action focused in the next session, or perhaps the one after that. We'll see how Sprout reacts to the knowledge that he is in fact expected, whatever that means.
That's awesome.
It's
Hopefully they're
better
not
than
here to kill you.
expecting.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not your
You're
death.
expecting. Oh my goodness.
But we will call it there. Again, thank you to everybody who tuned in. We will be back on Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week with 4 Dads a Day Around Apocalypse. Next Tuesday will be episode 7 of Bloodstone. As always, we appreciate each and every one of you who's decided to join us. Thank you, cast. We appreciate you guys as well. Hope you had a great time. We will see you next week. Have a great
Hell
night,
yeah.
everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
Later.